Maybe.
All right.
Yep. All right. We are live. Appreciate everybody tuning in, guys. It's Stone Guy 223. And got a few people with me tonight. Got some invites out there, so hopefully. Google Plus has been weird. YouTube is, again, fixing things that aren't broke. I got people that tell me they get the invite halfway through the show the next day. So it's weird. Generally, once I start it live, it shows up on the feed, and things get a little more normal. But either way, like I said, it's a little strange. But we'll get the formality out of the way. From my left, we've got Foose.
How's it going, guys?
Thanks for joining. Then we've got Gun Websites.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. And then we've got Nick. Nick, you got a channel name?
Yeah, it's I am for Kershaw Knives.
Whoa, say it again. Slower.
It's okay. I am for Kershaw Knives.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
Yep.
I had a
I can always
flashback
type it in.
here for a second.
Oh yeah, no problem. I understand.
Like, no pronunciation. I'm just messing with you. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Nick.
Oh, no problem. And I love to hear what you guys have to say, and I love learning from you guys.
Oh, cool. Appreciate that. So,
actually, we just talk out of our ass and don't listen to us.
yeah. Even though we are self-proclaimed internet gun experts, we tend to know more than most people out there, at least in our own minds.
I appreciate it. And I also put the Stone Guy actually put the spelled out my YouTube channel name. So if there's any
so his channel name is I am for Kershaw Knives. So maybe one of these days he'll be for a knife that actually works. But I'm bummed.
Well,
anyway, now some of the Kershaws aren't bad.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm gonna say this.
I'm
gonna disagree with you. Very few of the Kershaw knives are really bad. Now you get your, the cheaper budget knives. They're really good for the price compared to a lot of other companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get an American-made Blur for $50. That thing's rock solid.
The Americans, you have to get the Chinese knockoff Kershaws and then the true Kershaws, right? Isn't there a...
Well, I call it the budget line and then the American-made stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
just similar to like Cold Steel. Cold Steel, their quality went down tremendously. So
huge.
All right.
Well, anyway, and then we had Cork join us. Unfortunately, I guess he got the mass email. I didn't mean to send him a link, but he's here now, so sorry, guys. And we've got Matt from Never Enough Ammo. Appreciate you jumping in, Matt.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, brother? And then we've got Dano.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. So, didn't really have a set topic, so to speak. I did want to get into a few things. I will go ahead and tell you now. I just confirmed that next week we will have John McQuay from 8541 Tactical will be in the house with us next week. So, like I said, just got off the phone with him and confirmed that. So next week's chat, stay tuned for that. That will be awesome. It'll be all precision rifle gear, and I'm going to be doing a general Q&A session with him for my audience to be able to ask some questions directly. So anyway, so kind of a little teaser there. So stay tuned for next week. Like I said,
hello.
Confirmed. And then we had Eli jump in here.
Hello.
Don't recognize the avatar. Yeah. Who's Eli? You got a channel name?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all just fine. Oh, shoot, didn't mean to have the camera on.
That's all right. You got a channel name?
Nah, just just got here. Signed up a few days ago.
Oh, nice.
You just have a very soft voice.
Nothing wrong with that. Appreciate you joining in. Like I said, always looking for new faces, new participation out there is always encouraged. So again, appreciate you joining.
Yep.
All right, so getting on a roll here. Get all the formality out of the way. The one thing I wanted to talk about tonight. We talk a lot about medical gear. Having first aid and having just, basic first aid, even to some advanced, Israeli bandages or whatever. I mean, I think most people's, if you're talking about a blowout kit or an IVOC or IFAC or whatever, all the acronyms that these companies have made for all the different medical kits out there. The one thing I noticed that they've all lacked was actual sutures. And it's been 2 weeks ago now. I sliced my hand open pretty good and had to go get stitches. Now, I have insurance or whatever, but there's a lot of people that don't have medical insurance, and the bill, let's take insurance out of the equation here, just the bill to have 6 stitches put in my finger was $1,900 for 6 stitches.
Ouch.
You know, a little super glue or duct tape could have taken care of that for about $1.50.
Well, here's the thing. $1,900. It's retarded. So, and I got to thinking, there's been times in my life where I have not had medical insurance, and I take care to not put myself in situations where I'm going to need a hospital or emergency room, but accidents happen, and so it got me thinking, after having this happen, and just the kind of the nature of playing with guns and knives and taking training courses and just being active in general. We inherently put ourselves in more opportunity of getting injured, and especially cut. And so anyway, the whole point is the sutures were a big thing that like I said, that are lacking in any kit you can get out there on the market. And so I was curious, and I was like, well, shit, they've got to sell stitches, right? Sutures. And sure enough, and I'll just give you the site that I found, that I actually ordered from. It's a Nitro Pack. It's Preparedness Center Inc. But it's www.nitropack, nitro-pak.com. Check these guys out. They have an incredible website with all the medical gear, and they have hospital grades. As a matter of fact, the sutures I had put in my finger, I looked at the package when he was opening the suture kit, is the exact same stuff that I just ordered from this place. I mean, same company, same manufacturer that manufactured for the hospital or the emergency room is what these guys sell. So it's not cheap knockoff like veterinarian shit. This is real medical grade sutures. And so I got these sutures for $6.
Now, is that for one kid, or what's that?
One suture kit was $6. So you think about fucking $1,900 of stitches that I could have done myself for $6 had I had this kit So I did. I ordered it.
Just real quick, could you have done that on yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you have all the medication stuff?
I mean,
Your local
No, no. I mean, that's the one thing you are going to have to give up. I mean, I've stitched myself up before, and you're going to give up the being able to have some lidocaine or to numb you. It's going to hurt, but you know, I can take a little pain to save $2,000. And
Now, I've got another question. Anybody ever try kind of like the stuff you can use on tooth pain to like numb the area?
Yes.
Does it work?
I
Yeah.
don't think can you put that directly into a blood like a open wound?
Yeah, I'd be a little wary of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'd research that before you go dumping tooth numbing medicine into an open wound.
I
Well, you
had,
put it in your mouth. I figured it probably would be safe.
I had a seriously infected jaw. It went up into my jawbone. I had to be on medication for 2 weeks before they could even do anything about it. But that's what, for 48 hours before I could get to the dentist, that Oragel B stuff makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Orgel's great inside your mouth. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the whole point was there's a lot of things I think, even though we try to be as prepared as we are, that there's certain things out there that that aren't offered, and it's going to require you to be a little proactive and search out the things. And so like now, now I'm almost hoping I cut myself again in a way, because I've got eight packs of stitches. I've got 8 different sizes of sutures, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm prepared now, but I had to go through that lesson of not being prepared to understand what I needed for the future.
I will say that you talking about this is very strange, because I literally just today we pulled out all of our bug out bags and all of our car bobs and all that stuff and started going through everything. And my wife, she works in the medical field, so we were actually just today we were spreading out all our suture kits that she's gotten a hold of among all the different med kits we've got in all the different areas, and we were dividing them up, basically putting 2 suture kits in every little med kit that we have around the house, or in a bug out bag or something like that. But it's definitely something that you should have, and they're not expensive at all. They're
No,
very
not at all.
compared to a lot of other stuff that you're going to put. I mean, out of all the things, I mean, going and buying some quick clot, or some of these hardcore like stomach wound bandages, and I mean, they're very inexpensive, especially if you know somebody who works in the medical field. You can get them for cost, which is like $250.
Yeah,
for a suture kit.
exactly.
They're very, very inexpensive, and they're very useful. So it really is something you should have several of, especially if you're even partially prepper minded. Much less if you're just concerned with saving money if you ever get, need some stitches, because yeah, exactly like you said, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much they charge to do that, and it's gonna hurt like a sumbitch, but you can do it. You got to put it this way: what's gonna hurt worse? 5 to 10 minutes of some sharp pains, or $1,900.
Exactly, and that's the thing, and the cool thing about this website, again, it's www.nitropack.com. I was able to get individual suture kits, and then I got this one kit that was like an all-inclusive deal. It had a couple aspirating needles, a couple an IV needle, and a starting, like I think they call it an IV starter kit or whatever, and it was just amazing to me that the availability of medical grade equipment or components that are out there for you to be able to utilize yourself. Now, obviously, I implore you to have some sort of knowledge and understanding. Obviously, you don't need to just go poking yourself with a needle if you don't know how or what to do. But for someone that's had proper training, I would be able to use a lot of the components otherwise not available to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, where in the majority of the general public has to go to a doctor to get that kind of shit. When in all reality, it's out there for you to have. You just have to know where to look or search it out.
Another thing I would point out, you know, and just again, this is specifically talking about sutures, but make sure get the. I would always recommend getting the larger sutures, like the 5/0 sutures, as opposed to, or the 3/0 as opposed to the 5/0, and they have even bigger ones than that, but you don't really need much.
I got the 3, 4, and 5 are what I got, and they're all nylon. They're the non-absorbable nylon sutures.
You can get the absorbable ones too, and they're okay, but I don't recommend them. I mean, I've seen situations where they've actually come out before they're supposed to.
Right.
And the wound open up.
Right.
So,
and that's just it. You know, if you think about and not only, you know, if you're out hiking or whatever, if you're out somewhere and you open up a nice gash, if you're able to stitch it up there, you know, you're gonna not only are you gonna save money, but you're gonna save potential of infection. You know, it's just gonna be a lot better for you in that environment if you're able to really close the wound. Now I know people say, oh, you could fucking super glue it or duct tape it, and you know, for a variety of abrasions and cuts, yes, but if you've got a big gash, you know, no super glue or duct tape's going to help you. You really need to have it, you know, stitched up, and you know, like I said,
not even Gorilla Glue.
Not even Gorilla Glue, Nick. You know.
I seriously question how many people can actually take, because we're not from the 1850s. We have not been brought up to endure the pain that our forefathers endured during their lives, as far as we stitch ourselves up. And I have had...
I know where you're going with that, Dano. Oh, well, that's a little different.
Well, but we're talking about putting needles in our body, and getting it on your arm is one thing, getting it into sensitive place is another.
Well, that's true now, and honestly, and that's going to be relative, you know. But in all honesty, the sutured needles are so small and they're so sharp, and you know, you're like on just your subcutaneous tissue that you generally stitch up. You know, you could do it. You're not going to hit like the real deep-rooted nerves. You could. Honestly, it's so sharp it goes through like butter. You really don't feel it. And then like I said, unless you've got a really deep gash where you're stitching up a lot of meat and stuff too. But
if it's not going down to the muscle, you can probably just use stirry strips.
Yeah, now that's a butterfly stirry strip, and that's the other thing. And even those are like medical grade stuff that you can get from this place, like actual, you know, not just butterfly bandages that you can get at Kroger or, you know, your local pharmacy. These are actually, you know, strips that stay on. Like, you know, once they're on, they're on. So anyway, the whole point was just the fact that there's, you know, when I cut myself, and I've got 6 blowout kits, med kit. I mean, I've got everything. But I didn't have stitches. I didn't have sutures. I didn't have what I needed at the time, and I was honestly dumbfounded. I was like, here I am, Mr. fucking tactical prepper guy, and I'm bleeding like a stuck pig without the proper shit to fix myself, and I felt like a moron because me of all people should have been more prepared than I was, and it kind of pissed me off that here I am having to go to a fucking emergency room for 6 little stitches when I should have been able to take care of this myself.
Well, that's just called, you know, realizing that you're not prepped for everything and using your life experience to help with your preps.
Exactly. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully someone will listen to this and be like, damn, yeah, let me get some stitches, some sutures.
So where do you draw the line? You mentioned getting some training. I think most of the time if you're talking the training to do stitches, you're talking beyond first responder who wouldn't be able to touch anything like that. You're talking beyond EMT, which again wouldn't be able to touch anything like that. So now you're talking like either actual full-blown doctor, maybe one of those things like, what do they call, some kind of nurse that can do stuff like
Nurse
that?
practitioner.
Yeah, a nurse practitioner, which is almost a doctor and requires quite a bit of just, this isn't
Right.
just prepper training. And then maybe you could consider ditch medicine or like, foreign aid workers or something like that as being able to touch on like the down and dirty parts of this. But no matter what level of education you're talking about, they're all going to follow up with an antibiotic whenever you cause a hole in your skin, the organ that keeps all the bad stuff out. You've got the potential of an infection. So I can understand the idea of repairing the physical damage, but at what point do you draw the line on knowledge to keep that infection at bay?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that's a great point, G, because like with my situation, it was a deep enough cut. I mean, I could see the meat and the little fatty shit and who's building a gun in the background. So it was deep enough, but even going to the emergency room, they didn't give me any kind of antibiotic because it wasn't, I'm saying it wasn't.
No, I bet you they cleaned the wound real well.
Right, and it wasn't in an area that would be susceptible to, it wasn't like in the gut area. You know what I'm saying? So it is relative to the area and the severity of the wound.
Well, it's relative to the circumstance, I'd suggest, because this happened on your finger, I think you said. But if
Right.
you were in any kind of situation where you were in the swamp or gutting a fish or hunting or in a gunfight or doing first aid on somebody who didn't know if they had AIDS or something, now that same cut on the same physical part of your body is in a different situation where you have to worry about bloodborne pathogens and infection.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
When
I was going to bring up, cutting yourself on a piece of metal, then you need a tetanus shot.
When I was in my early 20s, I was helping a friend cut down a tree in his backyard. Well, one of the branches was absolutely rotten. I didn't know that, and he didn't tell me anything about that. Well, I went to take it off, and took it off in one fell swoop and put the axe in my foot. I can tell, and this goes back to the just sewing it up yourself. You may not have easy access to be able to reach where you're going to. The area you're going to, your foot is sweaty. It's got all sorts of bacteria on it. They had to flush it from the back. And for those of you that may not be familiar with what that means where they inject needles in the back of your skin to flush it out towards the wound. Because there's all sorts of tree particles and God knows what was on that axe and all sorts of nasty crap in there that you can't just put a compression bandage on it or steri strips. You've got to clean that thing out. And it was much worse than any stitching by far.
I have to agree with that, because I've been in a situation where I did something stupid where I was just wearing a pair of crappy little sand shoes, whatever, just crappy little shoes, and I stepped on a rusty nail, and not a big deal. It didn't realize it did that much damage until about an hour after it happened. It started throbbing really bad, and had to go to the doctor, and they did what they run a tap on it, where they had to take a very, very small, little knife, as it were, and sit there and stick it in the hole and scrape all the edges out, and then stick a needle in there and shoot. I don't know. I'm assuming it was like saline solution or something to clean it out, and do that. Keep in mind, the whole time they're doing this, it takes like half an hour. They're telling me, oh, well, we're trying to get you numbed up, but it hurts worse than you can possibly imagine when they're just taking, just sitting there scraping the inside of a wound out. So, yeah, stitches compared to something like that, nah, that's fine. I can stitch myself up. Not too worried about that.
Yeah, I had a similar instance as Matt, except I didn't feel the nail go into the bottom of my foot for over an hour. It was in my foot for over an hour before I realized it.
So,
bad.
So on top of medical gear, it kind of got me reevaluating my preps in general. and so I think I've got my medical stuff squared away for the most part. And then I really started to address my food issue. Realizing that I didn't have as much food as as I thought or I would like, and so kind of want to throw it out there to see what you guys think about. And I know we've talked about this maybe a year or so ago, like talking about freeze dried food versus like canned food or the Mountain House stuff. Just, I mean, where do you guys? How do you think you should address food preps? And
Well, it's you need to hit it from like all areas. I mean, like what I do is, I mean, I've got lots of canned goods and lots of dried stuff that I keep in the house. I've got buckets that I've prepared myself, which are all vacuum sealed rice, beans, other dry goods, which as long as they're sealed correctly can last for 20 years. Then there's stuff where I'll order like the stuff that I put in bug out bags and stuff that I keep in my my get home setup in the car or the truck. That stuff that I'll order from like eFoods or Wise or something like that. Those prepackaged things, or you can get Mountain House, the freeze dried stuff. I think having some of everything is a good idea because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to pop up from time to time. I think the most important thing is to understand that you need a little bit of everything and that you need to pay attention to what you're doing and regularly check everything and go through everything. And it's something that's constant. Like I said, we went through stuff just today. I spent about 3 or 4 hours today just pulling stuff out from bug out bags and going through med kits and different stuff. And going through and checking dates on some of the stuff that I had packed in some of the kids. Because with the kids, we try not to put as much freeze dried crap in there, especially for my younger girls. And so we put like cans of Vienna sausages and stuff they can easily get to. And so we have to go through that stuff a little more regularly because it expires. I mean, you just try and hit it on all fronts, right? You try to get a little bit of everything and you check it often enough that you can keep up, and okay, well, these things I have to check once a year. These things I don't have to ever check because I know they've been, once you've checked them a couple times, like let's say stuff you personally sealed yourself, it's sealed and ready to go. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways to come at it. I don't think just doing it one way is a good idea.
I was going to say, like, my take on it is to have some set aside that you consider short term and then some long term. Making sure you keep, say, I don't know, 3 months worth on hand at all times for short term. And then I look at it a little differently because I have a farm and, raise goats and everything like that, that I can partially consider long term. But I think always maintaining like a short-term supply of 3 months for anything, natural disaster, et cetera, I think is just as important as your, 20-year plus sustainable, buckets, which are not a bad thing.
Well, that also gives you variety, which is also going to help your own mental health. Having something different to eat.
And on top of that, if you do the freeze-dried stuff, make sure you have enough water in your house to rehydrate that on hand so you don't have to go out or just dump that crap in your mouth because that'll dehydrate quick. So you got to make sure you have the water source as well. And that goes for your rice and beans and stuff like that. You got to have good water source. 55-gallon buckets, not buckets, but 55-gallon jugs or whatever.
Right. That was definitely a consideration because I was thinking about doing a lot of the freeze dried stuff, but then kind of in the back of my mind I was like, well, shit. Worst case scenario, if I didn't have the water to rehydrate and prepare these foods, well, then I'm SOL all around the world, or all the way around, because you know it's like, yeah, it just, that's what I said. That's what got me thinking. It's like, well, damn, if you get the freeze dried, then you definitely have to make provisions for extra water to be able to cook and prepare the freeze dried stuff, which, you need water anyway. But then if you did, like a canned food where you didn't have to worry about the water, so it's kind of, and I guess that's kind of what Matt's saying. If you do a little of everything, then you can kind of, adapt to your situation and adapt to your, if you are running low on water, drinking water, and you want to conserve that and don't have to do your food prep with it.
As a follow-on to what Matt said, and I certainly agree with everything that Matt did say, is I keep, and I think this is what Matt was kind of referring to, although maybe he's doing it differently than I am. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I print out. And it has an inventory of everything I have, what it is, the quantity, including the expiration dates. And then in addition to that, once a year I do a physical inventory. I just tear apart all my stuff and verify that against my inventory sheet to make sure, did I take something from it? Am I missing something? Did I loan something out? And because like with the food, I only store stuff that I actually eat now. So I'm rotating that in and out of my normal food supply.
Yeah, I don't do any spreadsheets or anything just because I'm too lazy to do that. But other than that, yes, absolutely. I go through my stuff. I keep track of what's coming in and what's going, and I check it every so often, depending on what it is. Some stuff I check more often. Some stuff I only check once a year. Some stuff, it's stuff that I've put in 5-gallon buckets and sealed up, and I know I'm not getting into or using or whatever it is, so I don't need to check it. But yeah, you do. You have to check your stuff because you will. And there's been many times I'll find myself, in fact, one of the things I had to go in and do today was one of the my bug out bag. I can't remember how long ago it was now. A few months. I was looking for some duct tape. Couldn't find any, but I knew I had some in my bug out bag. And so I went and grabbed it. And of course, today I checked it, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I took it out. So I had to put another roll of duct tape in there because duct tape can solve all the world's problems. But yeah, no, you have to check it regularly. Whatever your process is for checking it, you need to understand, whatever it is, whether it's your med kits, your food, your water, just your range gear. Even if you're not a prepper, check your range gear. Don't go to the range without knowing that you've got everything you need. You've got COP. Do you have earplugs? How many times have you gone to just something as simple as going to the grocery store and forgot something? Like where I live, where you gotta freaking bring your own bags now because they passed some stupid law. We as people, we will forget things. We will take things out from where they need to be and forget them, and that's why, especially if you're prepping for any sort of survival situation,
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you real quick, because
Yeah, go ahead.
you're saying that you've got to bring your own. Oh damn! Someone's echoing bad. You've got to bring your own bags to the grocery store.
Yes, it's bullshit. The town I live in, for some stupid reason, decided they were going to pass a law that says that you can't get plastic bags at the grocery stores anymore, and if you do, you got to pay for them. So you either have to bring your own bags or pay for the bags. I don't know why. It's stupid. I can drive 10 minutes away into the next town and get all the plastic bags I want for free. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, unfortunately, it's something that's happening more and more everywhere. So
it's called the environment.
But getting back on the subject, I think even though I'm using a spreadsheet and I'm printing it out, have it written somewhere and make sure that list is up to date, because when the power goes out, how are you going to know what you have and where you put it? I actually have bins with numbers on them, so I go to bin 10. I know exactly what's in bin 10.
Well, because we still have memories. We're not as old as you yet.
Yeah, you probably don't have as much as I do. Because I am older, I've had more time to prepare.
I can see Dano cross-referencing his spreadsheet with his little bins with his knee-high white socks.
I can't believe you think I'm actually even in the computer age.
Well, I just wanted to say, and also there's a thing that you can't have too much weight on your backpack. Like you carrying everything in your backpack, because that'll cut off circulation to your shoulders and everything, make it uncomfortable.
Well, I tell you what, we did a chat, I don't know, several months back, and it was on that same thing. I encourage people to be fit and to definitely, use your gear. And I think it was the first time I actually grabbed my bug out bag and went on like just a 3 or 4 mile hike just to see what it would be like, if I could, actually carry it, because I packed a lot of shit in there, and sure enough, man, after 2 miles, I was hurt. Like I had way too much shit in there for a realistic, carry pack.
Yeah.
And until you get out and train with it, and you say train with your bug out bag. Well, not, for lack of a better term, yeah, you've got to know if your body and your ability, if you could physically pump that shit where you need to go, and if you can't, then you need to make adjustments. And sure enough, like I said, when 2 miles into this hike, dude, I was hating life because I had way too much shit in there.
You just put your pack on and walk for 20 minutes around your neighborhood, you'll know if you have too much stuff in your pack or not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you pack, there's things that you're going to have to pack. But, you can stop every few hours and give yourself a rest, too. So it's not like you have to keep walking.
And as a full-time college student, I can confirm that having too much in your pack is not good.
I think everybody's trying to figure out how old you are when you said full-time college student.
Okay, so now everybody want to get on this discussion. Yes,
Yeah,
it fools everyone.
Because your voice doesn't match a full-time college student.
Because he's talking real low.
Well, that's just
my
his voice,
apologies.
but he sounds, you sound like you're in your 40s or 50s, maybe.
Okay, most people say 40s.
So how old are you, if you don't mind?
19.
Are you shitting me? Holy fuck.
Hey, but you know what, though? I wanted to say, Stone Guy, if you wanted to give yourself an edge, though, practice hiking in all kinds of terrain, even every weather condition.
Absolutely.
Subjecting yourself to those, it will definitely, you'll become more familiar with it. When you're more familiar with it, your chances of survival increases.
Oh, absolutely.
Greatly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one thing to have all this stuff and pack away and prep and prepare, but there's some, I think Jaeger, calls it martial fitness, and I don't know if that was his term, but that's just one of the ones that first place I had heard it used. To be able to have some sort of, to keep yourself in at least a decent enough shape that you could walk somewhere and get yourself out of a situation without having a fucking heart attack, and being able to hump your gear, with it ain't gonna do you a bit of good if you have all the latest greatest shit packed away in the bag. If you can't pick it up and carry it somewhere, then it's not gonna do you a bit of good.
Yeah, and I'm reminded of an old woodsman's saying is, don't step on something you can step over. Don't walk across something you can walk around. That's the one thing that I always abide by in Boy Scouts. It's why step on something when you can step over it? Why walk across the lake when you can walk around it?
Well, that kind of relates to the gear chat we had last week. We were talking about all the stuff we keep in our range bags, and it's like, well, the majority of that shit I keep in my car, so I don't have to carry that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because you're gonna take your car to the range anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that could, if you have the opportunity to load your car up and have those provisions in a vehicle, that's one thing I'm a little leery about doing that, just because I hate to leave all that shit in my car. you know.
Yeah, and I understand that. And another thing is like if you're like me, I live in Michigan, and the one thing I was taught is always eat before you go to bed because that'll keep you warm at night because your body has to break that down. So that's actually getting your body to work while you're sleeping because it helps. It does help because you're breaking down calories, and calories when you break that down, it turns into heat.
So what's the
Well, Stone, also with you having everything in your vehicle, you got to make sure that you always have a jerry can or two full to make sure if you need to get away from your house, you can leave the house on a full tank of gas.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So-
tried. I kind of subscribe to that. I mean, I tried never to let my tank go below half. You know. Hey, thanks, Matt. Thanks for jumping in tonight.
You guys later.
Yeah. Well, what I do is if I'm just driving around town, I don't let it get under a half a tank. If I go out on a trip, I'll let it get under under a half a tank because I'm going to a destination. I'm just not piddling around. But then
Yeah.
But then I have a 5-gallon jerry can, which will almost fill my vehicle up from a half tank.
Yeah. See, and I
So-
can't. I don't. That's one thing I don't. I don't carry gas with me just because I'm just kind of weird about that. And it's like.
I don't carry
No.
gas. No, I don't carry gas. I have it in my garage.
Oh
So
yeah.
I keep it here because whenever I'm in the car, I'm not gonna let's say I do have a full tank of gas and shit hits the fan, and I need to go. I most likely will take it because it's good for fuel starting. It's good for the vehicle. It's good for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So.
All right,
Yeah.
now this is something Daniel has talked about in the past, and this is something that make a lot of sense, especially if you like to keep your, I never go below half tank on my car, or I try not to, but I also keep 15 gallons worth of gas in my garage.
Oh,
Okay, that's enough to actually almost fill up my car.
That's
I
what-
use
what
one
I
of
do.
them, so I have 10 spare at all times.
That's really smart.
But
Yeah.
the
I
problem,
rotate that extra gas into my car and then refill the tanks rather than refill my car every 3 months.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. It all gets cycled.
And I do use stay bill starting in fall all the way till spring.
I use Stay-Bill in it all the time, even if I would rotate. I'm going to try to rotate mine every 6 to 8 months.
Whenever I drink one of those bottles of water, I fill it up with gasoline and throw it in the back seat.
Nice to have you along.
nice.
Well, it's really smart though. Back in the '70s when they had that gasoline shortage, I mean, there was gas stations out of gas, and the lines to fill up were wrapped around the block. So it's good to have gas. I mean, if you ever read about that, and I remember some of my family members living through that situation, and it's one of the things. Always keep an extra 5 gallons or 10 gallons, whatever you feel comfortable with, in your garage.
I remember being a kid back in '73 and having 10 cars in front of my parents' car. At the first time, and then the next time, which was the late '70s, I was the one in high school trying to get gas.
So, sorry, real quick. Someone just left me a message on the YouTube side that said no sound again tonight. I don't know if maybe that's just them, but okay. So it's all good on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, so 02 Power Struck. I don't know why you're not hearing it. Everybody else is hearing it, but I appreciate you tuning in. You're still listening out there.
Maybe he's upset because he can hear the sound.
I said, yeah, no sound again tonight. Anyway, whatever that means. So Antonio had a question. How would you address prepping or bugging out of a major city? I know he's in the Atlanta area. He said I was planning to camp in place, but now I don't think that's feasible in my area.
Unless you get out ahead of time, you ain't getting out. I mean, I hate to be that pessimistic, but if you're in a major city.
The thing is basically this. You know, most people, you know, if it is a real shit hits the fan, most people are going to be dead in the first 30 days. So, like, mine is, I'm going to shut my damn house. I'm not leaving my house for 30 days. So I need to make sure I have everything I need for at least 30 days. And if you're in a seat, I'd do the same thing. Because either you're going to get out ahead, or you're going to have to wait till the population is gone and then get out.
I mean, I live out, you know, in the middle of nowhere. But I mean, my recommendation would be to get out before things get bad if you can. I mean, obviously in a, I don't know, overnight, you know, things get bad situation, that wouldn't really be feasible, but just have your place picked out, you know, beforehand, you know, relatives, just anywhere. You know, my recommendation would just be to just get out before you have to.
I mean, I'll just give the reason I said what I said is I live about 150 miles outside Chicago. I used to live in that giant catastrophe. I can tell you, even under the best of conditions, the interstates under normal traffic are bumper to bumper, anywhere between 10 and 20 miles an hour, and going 0 when there's no panic at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in the Atlanta area. I know Antonio, he's been on the chats before. He's in Atlanta, so you know, shit. Atlanta on a good day in just normal rush hour traffic, you could be at a standstill for an hour. You know, on the major interstate. So it's.
What about flying now?
I mean, yeah, I guess you have.
I mean, it won't be stopped.
Ultralight or something. All you need is one block or something, and you'd be up in the air. You'd be out of the congestion real quick.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you had access to a private plane, absolutely.
Well, an ultralight, you could fold it up and put it in your garage or something.
On the real subject, Mr. Guns.
What? That's a real subject. As real as anything else.
It's a valid point, but it would only apply to just a handful of people. You know.
I didn't realize we had that many flyers.
No, I mean, you think about one of those parachute planes or whatever, where you just have a big fan.
Parachute wing and a fan, yeah.
Right, and you don't need I don't think you need a pilot's license for that, since it is a parachute.
Well, in a shit hit the fan situation, it's not going to matter. But I think if you stay below a certain height, then you're not subject to FFA.
Yeah, but if you got an ultralight, you just got to obey like dumb rules, like don't buzz people's houses and stuff.
Right. But my only thing is, it just depends on like what kind of hazardous situation is happening. If it was someplace that has to be quarantined, you know, and the government has to quarantine that area, you know, you go up on a flyer, they're gonna bring you down.
And how much you gonna put in that flyer?
No.
You gonna put 500 pounds of stuff in there with you?
You don't need to. You put your stuff where you're landing.
Yeah, and you've just left all your preps behind.
No, you put all your stuff where you're going to land at. So all you got to do is prep to get to there quickly.
Like I said, that goes back to having a location outside of the town.
I'm just trying to understand this Mad Max scenario of flying away.
Ooh, it sounds like he's patronizing the shit out of you.
Full of people.
I wouldn't take that. Gee.
I'm fuming. I'm done.
And that, and it shit hits the fan situation. If you're getting out on your ultra light or whatever, people really aren't going to notice you because they're going to be worried about, you know, their two-dimensional world that's right in front of them.
Yep.
No, they're not going to look
I'm
up.
just trying to figure out how to sidestep it all.
Well, let's bring it back a little bit, you know, and besides.
Oh, come on, Stone Guy, we're having so much fun.
Let's you know, after medical and food, you know, the gas thing. I'll just touch on that real quick. I've heard so many variations of how long gas will truly last. I mean, has anybody done their due diligence and in finding out, honestly, because I've heard anywhere from 6 months to 4 years.
Truly, I've had a motorcycle where I had gas in it for 2 years. I did not start the damn thing because I was riding my other one. And I just went out there, started up. It's spit and sputtered the first 15 seconds, and then right on, just kept going. May not have been the best for it, but it ran. And it was a carbureted bike, so I don't know if that makes a difference. It probably does with the injectors. And that's something else. Is one of my preps, I'm starting to look into like a mid-80s truck that has very few computers, very few, anything. So everything's mechanical, so you could actually work on the dang thing.
I mean, like even, there's probably more electronics in an oven now than you would think.
Oh yeah.
And that's a good thing to consider.
Well, if there's an EMP, let's say there's a terrorist attack and they put an EMP, then all those electronics in your car are not going to be any good.
And that little plane.
Yeah.
Jesus, Dano.
The little plane.
Hey, the good thing about that would be 90% of America probably wouldn't be able to, make it because they wouldn't have their cell phones.
And that's one reason I said the first 30 days people would be gone.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe the first 15 days because, you're not going to have water. Oh, and plus, after that, you can always go to your next door neighbors, and they'll probably forget that they have 40 or 50 gallons or maybe 60 gallons, depending on the size of their house, of water sitting in their hot water heater. They won't think about that.
And then people start cannibalizing.
What kind of hot water heater you got? 50 gallons?
Well, depending. There are some places around here. A friend of mine, he has a 60-gallon water tank.
Holy shit!
Uh-huh.
I mean,
but he has 6 kids and a wife, and I mean
Wow.
he needs that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think my hot water heater is like 20 gallons.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what.
Mine's 40.
I tell you what, very few people, here's where I come in, know how to make a redneck hot tub, with the back of a pickup truck and some tarp and an exhaust.
Well, not only that, you get a black something called camping shower, and you hang it up outside.
Yeah.
Boom, you have a hot shower.
Like the solar shower things
Yeah.
that you're talking about?
Oh, those are great,
exactly.
man. Those things are really...
And the thing is, it doesn't have to be purified water. It just needs something to wash off. So it could be something out, from a stream that you pick it up.
And while we're on that, for those of you that may not know it, the ultraviolet rays of the sun will kill a large percent of, any microbials or shit in your water. You'd have to look it up. I forget what it is. It's got to be, I think, the #1 plastic to be able to penetrate, like the plastic bottles.
Yeah.
There's a little recycle code on the bottom of the bottles. It'll say it'll have a little triangle with a 1 or a 2, and
3 or 4 or 5.
right. And I can't remember which one's which, but one of them will allow the rays to penetrate it and actually.
Or if worse comes to worse, you can drink your own urine.
Purify your water. I wouldn't go that far, but the sun will do amazing things for you in a pinch. Now, like I said, you've got to set it out for hours and hours for it to work. But it goes back to seeking out the information that's available out there and being able to absorb the information. Either write it. Well, if you're Dano, you need to write it down.
Okay, now on that, one thing I was wanting to say earlier was write it down, because in like an EMP situation, the least you can rely on electronics, the better. Even in a non-EMP situation, just a normal SHTF or whatever, the less reliance you've got on things that need batteries, the better. And writing things down, like said he printed out spreadsheets. That's better than just keeping them on your computer. Because when the technology fails, you're left with only yourself, you know.
Not only that, but instructions on how to do some basic stuff that you may not know. Print that crap out. I mean,
I think it's a good idea to have like bins of all your stuff and then print out some spreadsheets.
I mean,
That's
Oh, trying to get on my good side now, are you?
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, a ream of 500 doesn't take up that much space, but you can have a ton of information on it.
I mean,
Well, that's
If you
what it
printed
comes
out
down
enough
to.
stuff off the internet and then bound that information together, that would be handy.
Oh,
Well,
man.
and like I said, that's what it comes down to, people. There's with the technology and everything's on the fucking internet or YouTube. There's no reason in this earth why we shouldn't be smarter than we are and be able to have the information at our fingertips to
Yep.
get ourselves out of situations that would otherwise kill people, you know, or you know what I mean? It's like,
Stone Guy, you'd think with all this new technology and information, women would be better drivers, but they're not, brother.
I mean, on that subject, what I'm saying is okay, we have the internet, we have all this, but what I'm saying is instead of hoping that you'll be able to just Google it now and print it out.
Exactly.
I mean,
Or
I
get
like-
a hard copy book. Don't depend on just PDF files.
Okay.
yeah, I'd agree
Like,
with that.
I mean, it's I don't have it here, but I mean, books on.
Oh, you can get,
I mean, like books on just like edible plants, you know,
Oh, you can pick
Yeah,
up
shelter,
exactly.
you name
You-
it.
you could pick up a Boy Scout handbook or a U.S. Army survival handbook that they sell for like $10.
I mean, I got one that's on like everything from, you know, survival shelters, flint napping, you know, dugout canoes, you name it. But,
Well, exactly, and yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that because you know it's just a matter of having the information and being able to utilize it. You know, if in you know I'm not even talking like tinfoil hat conspiracy end of the world shit. I'm talking realistic, you know, survival situations that you may find yourself in given a natural disaster or you know
hunting
whatever the
accident.
case. Yeah, there you go. Anything.
Just about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, we had a big ice storm go through northern Arkansas, and there were some people out in outlying areas that didn't have power for 2 months, and
Oh, wow.
they couldn't get out. Like this one person that I work with, she lives down a gravel road, down a gravel road, down a gravel road, and she couldn't even get to Blacktop for over a month. That they were siphoning gas out of their vehicles to run chainsaws to try and clear the road
Yeah.
for an entire month.
Oh, that's where
So-
Tannerite comes in.
Well, a couple of years ago in my area, there were a really strong thunderstorms that went through that produced straight line winds that knocked down a ton of trees and it knocked out power to people and blocked roads for a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
Well,
And then
that's what I'm
just
saying.
think,
And instead of
food,
having to
water,
right,
all that
and
stuff.
instead of having to depend on the government or someone else to fucking come save your ass, you need to be proactive and have have it in place to be able to fend for yourself and take care of you and your family, and not have to depend on the government or some good Samaritan to
Yeah.
save your ass.
Hey, Stone Guy, can I add something right there real quick?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say, well, think about this. They did a statistic. There's about 110 million people in the United States that are dependent on some type of government and entitlement. Okay, that's 110 million people that do not know, I would say a good 80% of them don't know how to survive on their own. So the thing is, when an economic meltdown happens, like the Great Depression, a lot of people are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And that kind of goes to what we were talking earlier. I wonder, hypothetically, and we could just kind of throw it out there, but I wonder, truly, how long people, like what percentage of the population would wither away and die. You know, if something like that happened, you figure what's the rule of thumb? 3 minutes without air, three days without water, and 3 weeks without food, or something like that.
Yeah, the rule of threes.
So, would that be the case? Would after 3 or 4 weeks, would a large percentage of the population be gone?
Well, it's when does the timer start ticking? It doesn't start ticking the moment the event happens. It doesn't start ticking until all the stores are empty and they don't get replenished at all. That's when it starts ticking.
If you could get to the stores.
Yes. And if you if you prep, there's no need to go there because you're already taking care of that.
Right. So that's where when I come back to the 30 days, because it may be, most people they say is what your 2 to 5 days people can live with what's in their house usually. So you think that clock starts happening at a week. So you're talking about 3 weeks without food and you're gone. Well, that's coming to the end of the month, and of course your clock will probably start at least the same time theirs starts. So you could go an additional week. So you could probably go for 37, 40 days, and then most people are going to be gone by then. You can get out and be not relatively safe, but you can be a lot safer and be able to be more mobile.
Oh, here's a question: Is it better to pack khakis like Dickies or jeans?
Depends on your weather.
Yeah,
If
depends on your climate.
Yeah, if you're in the south and stuff, I would go for the lighter material. If I was up north, I'd go for the denim.
Actually, if you're in the winter, you want wool.
Right, but I mean the denim would be thicker and stuff.
That wasn't an option, Cork.
Yeah, I mean you can't be carrying around 4 seasons for the clothing.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, I gotta
Denim
go.
is horrible in the winter.
Talk to y'all later.
So what's the deal with bring that material up? We're just going to leave it at that.
No, it's in the bedroom.
Well, there's no sense in having better. We got an extra bed, and we'll be honest.
No, I know that low, here's probably gonna move home.
Oh, did he get caught by his mom?
I think so.
Whatever, because he doesn't wanna have to worry about paying rent.
I did him a favor.
Oh.
We don't need to listen to his private business.
Yes, we
Who the
do.
fuck made you the moderator?
I wanted to hear his private business.
Yeah, no shit. Come on, this is the best part of the chat.
I'm just trying to be nice. He's relatively new. I know. Imagine that. Dano's trying to be nice.
Yeah, asshole. You get people fired. Now you're being nice?
What is your store number?
But I will say, going back to jeans, I'd use jeans for basically 6 months out of the year, maybe 8 at the most.
Huh.
You don't even wear pants the other months?
See Donald
That's
Duck.
true.
Cork Donald Ducks the shit out of it for the other 4 months.
You have seen that picture of Quark, huh? We can only imagine.
Yeah, we definitely don't need that. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna shut it here. It's been a good chat. We stayed on topic pretty much the whole time.
Hey, Stone Guy, anytime. But Stone Guy,
Hey,
before
man.
you leave,
What's
I
up?
just want to say, man, I can't be one of those guys that would just have nothing but canned beans and water. That's like asking Montezuma to kick in the back door. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I hear you.
Ain't nothing wrong with beans.
Yeah, but hydrogen and oxygen mixed with beans? Come on.
So
That's like asking for like a hydrogen bomb to go off in your intestines, man. And
Alternate source of power right there.
Montezuma would be painting your back porch red.
Yeah,
Hey,
haven't you seen
that, and you got some heat.
Mad Max be on Thunderdome?
No.
So on that note,
Well, just before you shut it down, I'm going to go ahead and start up an after chat in case anyone's interested. Just Dano.
Yeah.
okay, cool.
I'll put the link out in the main chat in the lobby on gun channels.
All right, so guys, go check out Dano for that. And again, I
thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
absolutely, man. I appreciate everybody that showed up tonight. Everybody that tuned in out on YouTube. Appreciate everybody watching, and for those of you on the panel. And remember, next week we've got John McQuay from 8541 Tactical will be joining us. So try to talk that up a little bit and get some questions and stuff lined up for him. He's a super cool dude, and so that'll be a good time. So anyway, guys, again, appreciate all the support, and we'll talk to you next time. Later.
Yep.